Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into my 72-volt homemade EMBT that's powered by the CYC X1 Pro Gen 4. In this video, I'm going to be taking you on a 10-mile ride so I can show off the awesome power and torque of this mid-drive motor setup. I am running it at 72 volts with the CYC heavy duty drivetrain. We're going to be talking about my preferred riding style for this bike, whether that be throttle or the extremely good torque sensors that come equipped on these bikes. So join me as I explore this awesome trail that is windy, curvy, hilly, and goes straight through the sand dunes out here in Cape Cod. Welcome back, Trailblazers. Today we're going to be riding the Providence Lands bike trails. We're out on my CYC homemade EMTB. It's a mid-drive, it has 5 speeds. All this bike I am riding today is 72 volt and has a peak of 6,000 watts. This is a super popular walking and biking trail, so I have this thing tuned down, that way we can blend in. I think I have the highest setting tuned to about 4,000 watts, setting 2 to be about 2,500s, and setting 1 to be 1,000. But since we have these torque sensors in our pedals, we can pedal like a normal bike and still get access to all that power. And another thing that's great about this bike is that we actually have 5 speeds, so I can shift down to a lower gear to get more torque and more acceleration. I also will say that I can easily pedal this thing up to about 25-30 miles an hour. Shift. And as you can tell, this thing is a ton of fun. This trail is one of the first trails I ever rode on my channel, so it feels super cool to be out here a year later on a bike that I built myself that is powered by 72 volts. Just a little gentle throttle there, and this thing just glides. When I built my CYC bike, I thought this thing would be more like a really lightweight e-moto, but I've actually been enjoying this thing way more as a normal pedal bike with the CYC heavy-duty drivetrain, which gives me 5 gears that are very resilient. Look at that view. Hey guys, I just want to take a moment to say, if you enjoy bikes like these or videos like these, remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below. I really like how a bike like this you can just about bring anywhere and ride anywhere, and you can tune it to be not a problem. But now with this setup, really don't have any issues with this bike. I will say, actually that's not true. I have had issues when I'm trying to push the full 6,000 watt. I still skip gears, but it's definitely not as bad as it once was. And I find that if I limit this thing to about a peak of 4,000 watts, I really don't have any drivetrain issues. Which brings me to my next point. I expected to wanna rip this thing around on throttle, but I found that this thing is best suited, at least in my setup, for tuning it down and actually riding it in places I'm not sure about the legality of e-bikes. Since this thing is built off of a normal downhill mountain bike frame, it looks like a bike. Yeah, you can't hide the big battery or the motor on it, but e-bikes aren't strictly illegal most places, and more often than not, when I get asked about this bike and I tell people I built it myself, they love it. They're even more interested in it. This trail is so flowy. But yeah, that's not the experience I get on most of my other high-powered bikes. A lot of them, people look at it and they go, why do you have this out on the trail? Most of the time I see people look at this thing, they're like, dang, where can I buy one of those? So the CYC kits, they're not only made for just throttle. I really like the torque sensors that are in these. They feel so good if you want to get exercise on your bike, but you want to go faster than what you normally could. It's got that power, it's got the gears, you can ride it on throttle, or you can bring it out on trails and tune it to exactly what you need. I don't really need to be going all that fast on a trail like this. Very windy and curvy. Gotta take a lot of turns. You really can't maintain those high speeds. But having that 72 volt and torque and different gears allows you to really open this thing up. Well, we got a little throttle. I don't have it limited, but you could easily just pretend this is a class 2, class 3 bike and ride it around. I find that a lot of these 72 volt bikes, if they're not using a torque sensor, will boost you way too hard, and when you try to pedal past someone, people aren't stupid. They know when they see a bike lurch forwards because of power that it probably is more like a motorbike than a bicycle. But since this thing is so fine-tuned and easy to control, you don't get those same issues. Yet you can still do stuff like this. This thing has plenty of torque for climbing up hills, even with the power turned down on it. And there is the ocean there. I went down to a different beach, so I'll insert some shots of the ocean and some seals that I filmed. Very pretty out here in Cape Cod this time of year, but definitely not all that warm. But you couldn't ask for a better day for riding. And again, we can shift down the gears to get a lot more torque. But then we can shift back up to give ourselves nice and gradual acceleration. That's how ridiculous these CYC bikes are, man. You basically can just do anything with them. And then we can shift this back up to catch our pedal speed up with the speeds we're doing. We're doing a little over 20 miles an hour, but we can still pedal no problem. Yeah, I really love the CYC bike. I use it a lot more for using it like a normal bike than I do a Monster Ripper. I find that when you're going too fast on these, it's just so light, it doesn't feel super stable. Not that like this bike is sketchy to ride at that speeds, but compared to like my Talaria, I feel like if I hit something too hard with this, might be game over. Where with the Talaria, I can basically throw that into any terrain and I'm not worried about the strength of the bike. And see, we can get up to hills like this. We can shift down a gear. Again, no problem. And then this thing just glides. Can shift back up again. What a trail. This is like one of my favorite trails in the world, guys. Shift down a gear, don't overcook it, see? And then we can pedal up nice and easy. trying to figure out which gear is the best, but that's the beautiful thing of this. So you can shift it to the gear you need to be at. And if you want to, you can throttle a little bit. Again, we're not gonna go too fast on this trail. And yeah, these CYC motors running at 72 volts have so much torque, guys. I have this thing cut down to like half the torque. I mean, I'll take a screenshot and show you exactly what settings I'm running on this thing. But I can tell you that this bike is one of my favorites and is forever going to be part of my fleet. This is probably going to be the best bike for traveling with. If you're going to be riding on the road, you can get it up to high enough speeds that you're not going to have to worry about traffic passing you constantly. You can turn it down for any trail that you would want to ride on. And yes, this thing does make noise, but if you're just using it on pedal assist, it's not an unreasonably loud or annoying noise that it makes. It is kind of nice because it alerts people on a trail ahead of you that you're coming, but it's not like crazy loud like E-Moto would be, or some of the geared hub motor bikes. Some of the geared hub motor bikes are even louder than the hum this thing makes. We did not start at a full charge. We were probably at like 81 or 82 volts, but we're down to about 80, so we've really not used very much of the battery on this bike. And if you don't want to pedal, you can throttle through some of this. Oh, I love the CYC bikes, dude. Excuse me. You see how this bike just blends in? Look at this environment, it's so pretty. And the brakes are very good on this bike. I have a Magura MT-05 in the back and a Shimano Dior XT in the front. The Dior came with the bike. If you're not familiar with this bike, I do have a video fully going over how I built this thing. I bought it as an incomplete normal pedal bike that was missing the rear wheel, the derailleur hanger, as well as some other parts. But now I have everything I need to make it a full bike. And I'm not gonna lie, this was not a cheap build to make, but it was definitely worth it. This is one of my favorite bikes, even though I use it for a completely different purpose than I thought I would. But I'm not mad at it. This thing is perfect. I'm definitely going to be using this thing on more group rides and more road trips. So this thing is super easy to use with slower bikes and inexperienced riders. Obviously, I don't want to put them on it, but I can ride with them at slow speeds comfortably and still pedal and be satisfied. Not all high-powered bikes are that versatile. Well, I definitely didn't go back the way I wanted to, but I'm not mad about it. That was so pretty. Yeah, how could you be mad about that? Look. Nothing like an ocean view, guys. Let's go see what's up here, and then we're gonna spin it back around. Look at those. Alright boys, well I think I'm going to spin it around here and start making my way back. When you get on the heavy throttle, you can actually feel the whole rear suspension compress under it. Maybe I need a little bit stiffer of a shock in the back, and it will be less of an issue trying to push those high-powered stuff, but I don't think I'm gonna bother. I think I'm just gonna leave this thing as is and use it for stuff like this, where you actually have to pedal. I have plenty of other bikes that are really good on throttle alone, so I'm not really missing that part of my life. And again, those are those beautiful cars. Since we got no one around, we can just chill on throttle for a little bit. There's nothing better than having a lightweight bike that has full suspension, a good throttle, and more power than it needs. That's like one of my perfect e-bike setups. And we are riding through the dunes again. And if you're liking this video, subscribe down below, leave a like and a comment. Let me know what you think of these CYC bikes. Do you have one? Do you prefer to use it like a throttle kind of dirt bike on a bicycle frame? Or do you like using yours like a regular bicycle that has way too much power? I'm in the later camp, but I'd like to know what you guys think. So I'm asked a lot, should I build my own CYC powered e-bike, or should I buy something like the Benell 775? And the answer really depends on what you're looking for from the bike. The Benell is an awesome downhill design, but since it is single speed, you can't really pedal it that high, so it's not really that good at being a normal e-bike. While my bike, on the other hand, has a lot of trouble when you are using that full power on throttle. It doesn't seem like I have enough chain tension to really hold that chain onto the gears. So if you build your own bike, you will have so many more options to customize it and optimize it to exactly the kind of riding style you want to use it for. The Benell is excellent, but it doesn't have everything. Out here, if I was using the Benell, I'd be relying on the throttle a lot, which would be getting a lot more looks. This bike, I can just easily shift up and down my gears and pedal it up, and no one suspects a single thing. One thing that's really nice about these skinny tired mountain bikes though, is they use so much less power than the fat tire bikes do, just because they have so much less ground resistance. So this thing's actually super efficient. I've done a couple rides that were over 30 miles on this bike, and this thing had no problems. I really enjoyed this bike. Again, if you want something that is made for throttle primarily riding, at least in my configuration, it's not ideal at that. But if you're looking for an e-bike that's super versatile that you can use basically anywhere, this is the bike. So what I'll say is, if you are technically minded and don't mind constantly working on your own bikes, building your own CYC bike can be so rewarding. These things are so cool. But if you don't like working on your own stuff, I don't recommend these at all. I've had to do so much work to this, and while this thing definitely can put down a ton of power, you definitely have to be way more delicate and careful on a bike like this. Not like riding style, like you could definitely throw this through some pretty rough terrain. I'm saying the way that you get onto the throttle and whatnot. You can't just jam this thing full throttle from a stop and expect this thing to just launch or power wheelie or stuff like that. You're probably gonna break something if you try to push these things too hard. Remember, at the end of the day, you are pushing all that power through a bicycle chain, and They just simply don't have the kind of tension and strength that something like, like a dirt bike or a mid-drive e-moto would have. You gotta have some mechanical sympathy for these bikes. But that being said, if you want a good mix of both power and fun, but also a mix of normal bicycle experience, these things deliver that, and they deliver it in a way most bikes don't. Ain't nothing like a CYC bike, guys. Highly recommend, even if this isn't a bike that I would recommend to everybody. I hope I'm not super lost, because I think this is supposed to be back the way to the parking lot, but I'm not sure. Luckily, we still are sitting at 78 volts, so even if we went the wrong way, we should have plenty of power to go track down where we started. You can really get your blood flowing through your veins and get some good exercise, but you can also just rip if that's what you want. Well, thank you so much for watching to the end. I hope you enjoyed this little leisurely ride on my CYC EMBT. Just to go over the specs one more time, this is my 72 volt, 15 amp hour battery bike that is pushing a peak of 6,000 watts max, but is tuned for 4,000 watts on this ride. It is using a torque sensor, which gives it smooth pedal feel even on high power modes, along with the 5-speed heavy-duty drivetrain, which allows you to deliver power more consistently to the rear wheel through the mid-drive motor. And if you want to learn more about this bike, I have a detailed build video that I'll have linked down below. But I hope you enjoyed this ride and a look into what this bike is really like to live with in real life. This bike weighs less than 75 pounds and has so much suspension travel, and with it limited even at 4,000 watts, it is plenty of power for this chassis. So if you like this build or this video, hit that subscribe button down below and leave a like on the video. It helps out a ton, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye now.